but any questions or comments that they'd like to add, the number to call is 914-803-4151. 914-803-4151. You said the bee population is being adversely affected by the GM foods. Do you think that is the reason why we're seeing the worldwide decrease in the bee population? Do you think that the prolonged contrails have anything to do with that, or do you think it's a culmination of it?
I think it's a combination. Bees navigate by UV radiation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start disrupting the UV radiation, the navigation from their hives going to and from the food supply can be disrupted, and there are some studies now that show that this is a possibility. In addition, some of the chemicals that are being used by, say, example, I'll use Bayer Crop Science as a nice example. When you look at Bayer Crop Science labels, they will tell you on the product label that this chemical, this neonicotinoid or whatever chemical it is, they'll say on the label that it's harmful to honeybees. In other countries, they're starting to ban these chemicals, but in the United States, even though the label says it could be harmful to honeybees, our government allows these things to be on the market. And this is what's incredible when you get into reading about these chemicals and you get into the labels. Now, the material data safety sheet is required by every company that manufactures a product. By law, they have to give an MSDS sheet. It's a material data safety sheet. And what happens is they have to talk about the consequences of the use of the product. And when you read their labels and these MSDS sheets, they have to tell you that there is a problem. And so they do, but our government just looks at this and doesn't, in other words, ban these products. They say, well, we have to test it and we have to go through all these different machinations here in the United States to take a product off the market. It's not likely to be taken off the market just because they don't want to do it. They're the chemical companies and Dow Chemical and all these chemical companies are have lobbyists up one side and down the other. So it doesn't matter. I mean, that's just it's just amazing.
It certainly is.
It says here, this is Bayer Crop Science, and this is online. You can go to their website, and you can look up Movento, Movento. It's a trademark. And you can go to an insecticide, and you can go down. Now, this is a label. I've got it on my screen. It's on the website, but I've got it on my screen. And so anyway, it gives these that there's a problem if you get it on your skin or clothing, if you swallow it, if you get it in your eyes. It goes harmful to humans and domestic animals. It's harmful if swallowed or absorbed through the skin, causes moderate eye irritation. And then it says you have to wear long sleeve shirts and all of this. When you get down to environmental hazards, it says this pesticide is toxic to aquatic invertebrates and oysters. Do not apply directly to water or to surface areas where water is present, or any area where it may drift onto water or that it may run off the land into water, okay? And so you look at this and you go, okay, and then it says right here, quote, this product is potentially toxic to honeybee larvae through residues in pollen and nectar. Exposure of adult bees to direct treatment or residues on blooming crops can lead to effects on honeybee larvae.
Wow. Okay.
So that's one of those things.
Wow. Okay, we have a caller online, area code 541. You're live on the air with A.C. Griffith, Rosalind, Peterson, Joe Joseph, and myself. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to let you know how very much I appreciate your show. It's just outstanding. I'm calling from the Oregon coast, and we've been heavily sprayed the last 3 days, just incredibly heavy. If you look at a satellite image of a weather satellite off the coast in the Pacific for thousands of miles, it's nothing but crisscrossed lines. It looks like a checkerboard. I've made an observation that I'd like to hear your guest comment on.
Sure.
And that is that if I watch the Bill O'Reilly show, or if I watch even Glenn Beck, in the background there are white, subliminal, visual, chemtrail-like lines passing through the background. Are these people aware that over their shoulder is the subliminal messaging? Who does that? How are they aware that that's going on? Or I guess I'd like to know who and how do they go about doing that?
I've seen them in cartoons. I've seen that in cartoons, caller, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Go ahead, Griff. You start first. What do you think?
I didn't understand the question. Who is aware? Who are we talking about?
It's about the subliminal messaging of chemtrails and things. I'll give you an example. The Disney movie Cars, or the Pixar movie Cars. If you watch the movie Cars, all throughout the movie, in the background, in the sky, there's persistent contrails. Same thing with, like we were saying on the Bill O'Reilly show and the Glenn Beck show, they're in the background.
Okay, I've not seen that. Therefore, I didn't understand the question. But my response would be, and it's just off the top of my head opinion, that probably someone is getting the public used to seeing the chemtrails as a normal event, I would think.
What do you think, Rosalind? Do you think that there's some subliminal programming going on, or subtle programming going on to make people think that this is the norm?
NASA's been doing this for a long time, because if you go on the NASA website and you look up their S''cool, COOL program, you will see that they started in the late 1980s in Europe to put together a kindergarten through 12th grade programs where they taught that persistent jet contrails were normal and natural and had countathons for kids. And then they introduced it into the 1990s. They introduced it into the American school system under a countathon school program to tell all of our children that these were normal and that this was what the skies really looked like, and that these trails, NASA claims that these trails have been seen since 1919. And I thought, in 1919, the state of aviation, we didn't have jets in 1919, and that any trail that might have existed was probably smoke. But we didn't have the capabilities to go as high or anything in 1919. There was nothing. You had small prop engines in 1919. So the thing was that NASA went about educating the public that these were normal and natural. And even my son, when he was in school, said, "Mom, I read about this. There was countathons and this was all normal." So I kind of got struck that there was an effort before the public was really aware of this in the late 1980s for NASA to put an educational program through under Patrick Minnis and some other people at NASA, so that they would believe that contrails and persistent ones were normal and of the norm. So this was and then if you go back to movies, you'll see that old movies don't have these persistent jet contrails. But then as you come forward and you get into the 1990s and the 2000s, the frames in the background, whether you're in Italy or you're in Paris or England or wherever, then you start to see these in the backgrounds of the pictures.
Can I modify my question?
Yeah.
But, actually, what I'd like to know is, do you think the newscasters themselves are aware of what's in their background, what's over their shoulder?
No, not all the time.
No, I can't imagine that either. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I've noticed that the majority of people are either ignorant or willfully ignorant of